Let's check in with Jake and see how he did this. Did you get the service worker registered?
I certainly did. Here's how I did it. I'm going to call navigator.serviceworker.register, passing in the URL of the script. I don't need to pass in the scope because the default is correct here. Of course, this will throw an error in browsers that don't support Service Worker. I could wrap this whole thing in an if statement, but instead I'm just going to return if Service Worker isn't supported. And since .register returns a promise, I'm going to log a message if everything worked out. And just in case it didn't, I'm going to log a failure message. Of course, if you did this differently, that doesn't mean it's wrong, as long as the service worker is registered and you avoid errors in older browsers. That's it. So once that's done, over in the browser, if I refresh the page, yep, my service worker is registered. We don't get any logging yet, and we'll find out why later on, but if I refresh a second time, yep, there they are. I've got a log for every request made by the page, all the JavaScript, CSS, images, including requests that go to other origins, such as this one for the font. The scope of the service worker restricts the pages it controls, but it will intercept pretty much any request made by controlled pages, regardless of URL. Not only that, but as we'll start playing with soon, you can mess around with these requests, changing headers or responding with something entirely different. This is pretty powerful, but with great power comes great responsibility. Because of this, service workers are limited to HTTPS, the secure form of HTTP. Remember when we looked at the path requests take through the network? Well, when you're serving across plain unencrypted HTTP, any one of these things in the middle can remove, modify, or even add content. This is bad, this is really bad. You could request a news story from a reputable source, and without encryption, what you actually receive could be very different from what the journalist wrote. Malicious scripts could also capture data you input, alter databases, read cookies, entirely without your knowledge. So, all round, not such a good thing really. But service workers live longer than pages, so they could be used to persist an attack like this, and that would be really bad. In fact, it's unacceptable to let a potentially evil middleman get control of your service worker, and that's why it only runs on HTTPS. Thankfully, localhost is exempt from this rule, which is why things worked fine on Witter's dev server. Although, it did take 2 refreshes to start seeing those console logs, and that's actually by design. The service worker has a different lifecycle to pages. For example, I'm going to change this console log here to just say hello world. And if we look back in the browser now and hit refresh, we're not getting those changes. It's okay, don't flip the table over just yet. We need to learn more about service workers' lifecycle.